The galactic medical scanner crashed for the third time in 10 minutes, and Azila was beginning to suspect that the human gym teacher standing calmly in her athletic clothes had somehow broken every fundamental law of biology without even noticing. This can't be right. Azila's translucent fingers flew across the diagnostic console, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with stress as she initiated yet another full system reboot. Lirana, check the calibration again. These readings are indicating catastrophic systemic failure. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, the junior researcher was already 3 steps ahead, her crystalline appendages trembling as she ran the equipment diagnostics for what had to be the 7th time. Equipment is functioning perfectly, lead researcher. Calibration is exact. The scanner isn't malfunctioning, it's just... She trailed off, staring at the human with something between awe and existential terror. It's reading exactly what's actually happening. Emma Williams, who'd been told this would be a routine medical evaluation for the new Human-Alien Cultural Exchange program, shifted her weight and tried not to look as confused as she felt. She was still in her workout clothes, compression leggings, tank top, running shoes, because they'd asked to scan her immediately after physical activity for baseline measurements. Is there a problem? I can come back later if your equipment needs maintenance. The equipment is fine, Zara practically shouted from her station, her sensor stalks rigid with alarm. The problem is you. Your internal temperature fluctuated by 2.3 degrees during that thing you did outside. The jog? Emma blinked. Yeah, I just did a quick 5K around the facility track. Took it pretty easy since I didn't know the terrain. Easy. Azila's voice came out flat, processed through her translator with the emotional affect of someone watching their worldview collapse in real time. You consider a body temperature increase that would cause cellular breakdown in every known species to be easy? Emma looked down at herself, then back at the 3 alien researchers who were staring at her like she'd just casually violated physics. I mean, I'm barely sweating. On Earth, this would just be a warm-up. I usually run about 10 kilometers in the morning before work, then do a weights session in the evening, and... Stop. Lirana held up a crystalline appendage, her entire body rigid. Stop describing additional activities. The cardiovascular readings we recorded would indicate a near-death crisis state for any known species in the galactic database. Your heart rate reached 160 beats per standard minute. Yeah, that's pretty normal for a light jog. Emma pulled out her water bottle, the aliens flinched when she moved, and took a long drink. My max heart rate is probably around 185. I hit that during sprint intervals or when I'm really pushing it on the rowing machine. The silence that followed was broken only by the medical scanner rebooting with a cheerful chime that seemed wildly inappropriate for the existential crisis happening in the research lab. Your maximum heart rate. Zara spoke slowly, like she was trying to translate a concept that didn't exist in her language. You have a maximum heart rate that's higher than your normal crisis rate, and you achieve this maximum deliberately, for recreation. Well, yeah, that's kind of how cardio works. Emma took another sip of water, genuinely starting to worry about these researchers. They looked like they were about to pass out, which seemed ironic given they were worried about her health. Are you guys okay? You seem really stressed about this. Stressed? Azila laughed, a sound her translator rendered as something between a sob and a hysterical giggle. Human Emma, your resting metabolic readings would require most species to be in active combat situations. Your body is operating at what we would classify as sustained emergency response, just sitting still. And you're telling us that what we just witnessed, the temperature spikes, the heart rate acceleration, the oxygen consumption that increased by 400%, the lactic acid production that would be toxic to every species in our database. You're telling us that was you taking it easy? I mean, I didn't even break a sweat. Emma lifted her arm to show them. See? Barely damp. If I'd actually pushed it, I'd be dripping right now. That's kind of the whole point of a workout. You want to get your heart rate up, Build up some good sweat. Feel that burn in your muscles. It's healthy. Lirana made a sound that the translator couldn't quite process. Healthy. She says it's healthy. The lactic acid levels that would require emergency detoxification for my species, she considers healthy. The scanner just crashed again, Zara announced, staring at her console with the exhausted acceptance of someone who'd given up on reality making sense. Fourth time, it crashed trying to process her sweat composition. Apparently, humans secrete a complex solution of electrolytes, minerals, and proteins through millions of pores across their entire body surface as a cooling mechanism. The system flagged it as a critical fluid loss emergency and shut down trying to calculate survival time. Emma looked down at her barely damp shirt. This isn't even that much sweat. You should see me after a hot yoga class. I literally have to wring out my clothes. Please stop talking, Azila whispered, sitting down heavily in her support chair. Every word you say makes this worse. You're describing voluntary activities that would hospitalize, no, potentially kill, most galactic species, and you're treating them like casual hobbies. Because they are casual hobbies? Emma offered helpfully. I'm a gym teacher. This is literally my job, teaching kids how to exercise safely. If you think I'm intense, you should see actual athletes, professional runners, Olympic weightlifters, those. People are on a completely different level. The medical scanner rebooted again, immediately displayed Emma's current readings, and promptly crashed for the fifth time. Zara looked at her fellow researchers with the expression of someone who just realized they were studying an entirely new category of impossible. We need to call the Xenobiology Council, all of them, right now. Why? Emma asked, finally starting to get concerned. Is something actually wrong with me? Wrong with you? Azila looked up, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing in what Emma was beginning to recognize as the alien equivalent of hysteria. Human Emma, according to every principle of galactic biology, comparative physiology, and evolutionary science we've established over 10,000 years of study. You shouldn't be able to exist. Your body is violating rules we didn't even know could be violated. And you did it while taking it easy on a morning jog. Emma took another sip of water and tried to figure out how to explain that she'd just done a basic warm-up run without causing an interstellar medical crisis. So, should I not mention the half marathon I'm training for? Because that seems like it might be bad timing. The medical scanner crashed again. This time, it stayed crashed. Let me explain why this is impossible, Azila said, pulling up a holographic display that showed Emma's thermal imaging from the jog. This temperature differential, 2.3 degrees increase in core body temperature, would cause irreversible protein denaturation in every species we've cataloged. Your cellular structures should be breaking down, your enzymes should be denaturing, your neural pathways should be misfiring catastrophically. Emma squinted at the display, trying to follow along. But they're not. I feel fine. Actually, I feel great. Endorphins are kicking in nicely. That's another impossibility, Zara interjected, pulling up her own display showing Emma's neurochemical readings. You're producing endogenous opioids in response to physical stress. Your body is drugging itself to ignore damage signals. It's not damage, it's just exercise. Emma set down her water bottle and, without thinking, dropped into a few jumping jacks to demonstrate. See? Perfectly norm. All three aliens recoiled so fast that Lirana actually fell out of her support chair. Stop! Azila shrieked, her bioluminescence flashing red in alarm. Stop doing that immediately. Emma froze mid-jump, arms awkwardly positioned above her head. Doing what? Jumping jacks? Your skeletal structure. Lirana was frantically calculating on her console from the floor, her crystalline appendages shaking. The impact forces on your joints. I'm reading 2.5 times your body weight transferred through your ankles and knees with each landing. That should be shattering your bone matrix. Your leg bones should have fractured on the third repetition. My bones are fine. Emma completed the jumping jack and did a few more for good measure, genuinely worried now that these researchers had somehow never seen basic calisthenics. Human bones are pretty sturdy. They're designed for impact loading. Running, jumping, all that stuff actually makes them stronger over time. Stronger. Zara's sensor stalks had gone completely limp. Repetitive stress makes them stronger. That's not how biology works. That's not how any biology works. It's how human biology works, Emma said, starting to find this whole situation kind of funny, despite the aliens' obvious distress. Look, I'm a gym teacher. I've got a degree in exercise science. Want me to show you some actual exercises? Maybe if you see a full workout, the context will make more sense. No, all three aliens shouted in unison. Yes, Azila corrected herself immediately, her scientific curiosity apparently overriding her survival instincts. Yes, we need to document this. But slowly, very slowly, and please describe what you're doing before you do it so we can prepare the medical response team. Medical response team seems like overkill, but okay. Emma dropped to the floor into a plank position. These are called push-ups. Basic upper body exercise. I usually do about 50 in a set, but I'll just do 10 so you can get your readings. She knocked out 10 perfect push-ups while the medical scanner, which Liranna had finally coaxed back online, immediately started screaming alarms. Her muscle fibers! Zara was reading the data like it was a horror novel. They're tearing, microscopic tears throughout her pectoral, deltoid, and tricep muscle groups. This is catastrophic tissue damage. That's literally the point, Emma said, standing up and rolling her shoulders. You tear the muscle fibers, they repair stronger. That's how you build strength. Controlled damage and recovery. Azila sat down again, her bioluminescence dimming to almost nothing. You're describing a healing process as if it's a training methodology. You deliberately damage your own tissue to improve performance. Well, yeah, everyone knows that. No pain, no gain. Emma noticed their blank stares. It's a human saying. The muscle soreness means you worked hard enough to trigger adaptation. Muscle soreness, Liranna repeated faintly. You have a casual term for ongoing tissue damage, and you consider this desirable. I mean, there's good sore and bad sore, but generally, yeah. Emma grabbed her water bottle again and drained half of it in one go. You've got to stay hydrated when you work out. Proper hydration is key for performance and recovery. Zara's sensor stalks suddenly snapped to attention. She just consumed 500 milliliters of fluid in one intake. She checked her calculations. That's more than most species consume in an entire day cycle. I'll probably drink another liter or two before evening, Emma said cheerfully. More if I do my weight session. Maybe 3 liters total today since it's pretty warm in here. 3 liters! Azila's voice had gone completely flat. You process 3 liters of fluid through your system daily. Where does it go? Sweat, mostly. Some through normal excretion, but during exercise it's mostly sweat. Emma lifted her arm. See? I'm starting to sweat a bit more now. That's my body's cooling system kicking in. Evaporative cooling. Really efficient, actually. Liranna pulled up a close-up scan of Emma's skin, and all 3 researchers leaned in to stare at the display showing millions of tiny pores across her body surface. This is, by the ancestral void, this is incredible. She has millions of individual thermal regulation ports across her entire dermal layer. She's constantly secreting fluid to maintain temperature homeostasis. No other species can do this, Zara breathed, scanning through the galactic biological database with increasing desperation. Temperature regulation through water loss it's theoretically possible, but the energy cost would be astronomical. You'd need constant fluid and electrolyte replacement, massive caloric intake to sustain the system, and humans do all of that naturally, Azila finished. She mentioned drinking 3 liters daily like it was nothing. Her caloric requirements must be enormous compared to her body mass. Oh, definitely, Emma agreed. I eat probably 2,500 calories a day, more when I'm training hard. My boyfriend is training for a triathlon right now and he's eating close to 4,000 calories daily just to maintain his weight. 4,000 calories, Liana whispered. That's more than my entire family unit consumes collectively. Emma was starting to realize this conversation had veered into territory that was less routine medical exam and more discovering that humans are apparently cosmic anomalies. Look, I mentioned I'm training for a half marathon, right? That's 21 kilometers. There are humans who run full marathons, 42 kilometers, in under 3 hours. Some people do ultramarathons that are over 100 kilometers, and that's just running. We've got weightlifters who can lift 3 times their body weight, swimmers who can maintain high-intensity output for hours, gymnasts who can— Please stop, Azila interrupted, holding up a translucent hand. Every example you provide is another impossibility. You're describing casual athletic achievements that violate fundamental biological limitations. They're not violations if humans can do them, Emma pointed out reasonably. Zara made a sound that the translator rendered as something between a laugh and a sob. She's right. Humans aren't violating biological limitations. They're proving that our understanding of biological limitations was entirely species-specific. We've been studying galactic biology for millennia, and we never encountered anything like this because nothing like humans exists in our database. The medical scanner, which had been running continuously, suddenly displayed a new alert. Liana read it, and her crystalline body went very still. Lead researcher, the scanner has flagged a critical observation. What now? Azila asked wearily. All of these readings, the temperature fluctuations, the muscle damage, the lactic acid production, the cardiovascular stress, the human has been exhibiting all of these crisis markers for the entire duration of her examination. Liana looked up from her console, and according to her own testimony, this is what she calls taking it easy. Emma took another long drink of water and smiled apologetically. I did mention I went easy on that jog, yeah. Didn't want to overdo it on my first day at a new facility. The 3 alien researchers looked at each other, then back at Emma, then at their impossible readings, and seemed to simultaneously arrive at the same terrifying conclusion. Show us, Azila said quietly. Show us what a real workout looks like for a human. Emma's grin was probably not as reassuring as she intended. You sure? Because I should probably warn you, it's going to look a lot more intense than what you've seen so far. Azila's emergency transmission to the Galactic Xenobiology Council went out with a priority code that hadn't been used in 3 centuries. Paradigm-breaking discovery. All available experts required immediately. Within 20 minutes, the research facility's main observation deck was packed with senior xenobiologists from 17 different species, all of them staring through the reinforced viewing window at Emma Williams, who was stretching her hamstrings and looking slightly embarrassed by all the attention. She's agreed to demonstrate what she calls a moderate workout routine, Azila explained to the assembled experts, her bioluminescence flickering with barely contained scientific excitement. I want full-spectrum monitoring, cellular, cardiovascular, neurological, metabolic, everything. We need to document exactly what human physiology is capable of. Moderate, one of the senior researchers repeated skeptically. Lead researcher Azila, the preliminary readings you transmitted already indicate impossible biological function. If those were her easy parameters, I'm not certain our equipment can even measure moderate human exertion. That's why you're all here, Azila said grimly. We're going to need multiple redundant systems. In the training area below, Emma finished her stretches and called up to the observation window. Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do a basic circuit, some running, some weights, some body weight exercises, just what I'd normally do at the gym on a weekday. Should take about 45 minutes. That work for you? 45 minutes of continuous exertion, Zara muttered, checking her equipment. Most species can't sustain peak performance for more than 8 to 10 minutes before requiring extended recovery periods. Proceed when ready, human Emma, Azila called back. Emma started with what she called a warm-up run on the facility's track, 3 kilometers at what she described as conversational pace. Every scanner in the observation deck immediately lit up like a supernova. Core temperature increasing, Liana reported, her voice tight. Heart rate at 145 and holding steady. Oxygen consumption elevated by 350% over baseline. Lactic acid production. She stopped. Wait, the lactic acid is being metabolized almost as fast as it's being produced. Her body is processing the waste products in real time. That's aerobic exercise, Emma called up cheerfully, not even breathing hard as she rounded her 4th lap. As long as I stay in my aerobic zone, I can maintain this basically indefinitely. It's when you go anaerobic that you really feel the burn. She has zones, one of the senior xenobiologists said faintly. She has classified intensity zones for deliberate metabolic stress. Emma finished her run. The scanners showed she'd barely tapped her cardiovascular capacity and moved to the resistance equipment. Okay, now for some strength work. I'll start light since this is new equipment. She loaded what she casually referred to as light weights onto a bar, roughly 60% of her body weight, and began a series of exercises the aliens didn't have names for. Squats, deadlifts, overhead presses. Her muscle fibers. A senior researcher pressed closer to his display. They're tearing with each repetition, microscopic ruptures throughout the tissue matrix, but look at the cellular response. Satellite cells are already mobilizing. Protein synthesis is accelerating. She's healing in real time. That's muscle hypertrophy, Emma grunted, finishing a set of squats. You stress the muscles, they adapt by getting stronger. Basic progressive overload principle. I'll be a little sore tomorrow, but that just means I worked hard enough to trigger growth. Azila was frantically cross-referencing data. She's describing a biological adaptation mechanism that requires deliberate tissue damage, and she does this regularly? 3 to 4 times a week, Emma confirmed, moving to pull-ups. Rest days are important too. That's when the actual muscle building happens. The workout damages the tissue, then your body repairs it stronger than before. You've got to fuel it properly, though. Lots of protein for muscle synthesis. She has optimized a cyclical damage and repair protocol, Liana breathed. Controlled destruction followed by enhanced reconstruction. It's like she's deliberately breaking her own body to rebuild it better. Exactly, Emma dropped from the pull-up bar, genuinely pleased that they were starting to understand. That's literally what strength training is. Progressive overload, adequate recovery, proper nutrition. You get stronger by consistently challenging your body to adapt. Zara was staring at her cardiovascular readings with something approaching awe. Her resting heart rate, what she considers resting, is 65 beats per minute. That would be classified as emergency tachycardia, requiring immediate intervention for most galactic species. And during exercise, she's sustaining rates that would indicate imminent cardiac failure for anyone else. Oh, my resting rate is actually pretty high for an athlete, Emma said, starting a set of burpees that made half the observation deck recoil in horror. Elite endurance athletes can have resting heart rates in the 40s. Their hearts get so efficient that they don't need to beat as often. Efficient, one of the senior researchers repeated numbly. She's calling extreme bradycardia efficient. Emma finished her burpees. The impact sensors went haywire with each jump and transitioned into a core workout. Planks, mountain climbers, bicycle crunches. The scanners showed her muscles screaming with lactic acid buildup, her core temperature climbing past what should have been catastrophic levels, her heart pounding at rates that would hospitalize most species. She looked like she was having fun. I need to understand something, Azila said, her voice carrying through the facility's comm system. Human Emma, you are currently experiencing what our readings indicate should be extreme pain. Multiple muscle groups are in distress. Your core temperature is dangerously elevated. Your cardiovascular system is under immense strain. And yet, you continue. How? Emma paused in her workout, breathing hard but grinning. Oh, that's just the burn. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but you learn to push through it. Actually, if you go hard enough, you hit this thing called runner's high. Your body starts pumping out endorphins and it feels amazing. It's like a natural high from working out. Natural high, Zara repeated slowly. Your body produces endogenous opioid peptides in response to sustained physical stress, creating a euphoric state that encourages you to continue the activity that's causing the stress. Sure, if you want to get technical about it, Emma laughed, it's one of the best parts of a really good workout. That and the sense of accomplishment. Liana pulled up a new data stream and went very still. Lead researcher. I'm detecting elevated levels of cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. The human's adrenal system is active. During exercise? Azila pulled up the same data. That's a combat stress response. Those are fight or flight hormones. Yeah, adrenaline definitely kicks in during a tough workout, Emma agreed, transitioning into push-ups. It's part of what gives you that extra push when you're really going for it. Your body's stress response actually enhances performance. Pretty cool, right? Cool, a senior xenobiologist echoed faintly. She has a combat stimulant system that activates during voluntary exercise, combined with an endogenous pain suppression and reward mechanism that encourages continued exertion despite tissue damage. Humans are self-motivating biological weapons, another researcher said, sounding awed and terrified in equal measure. Emma finished her circuit and grabbed her water bottle, guzzling nearly a liter while the assembled xenobiologists watched in stunned silence. She was flushed, sweating freely, breathing elevated but controlled, and looking deeply satisfied. That was a good session, she said happily. Definitely feeling it. I'll be pleasantly sore tomorrow. Pleasantly sore, Azila repeated. You anticipate pain from tissue damage and describe it as pleasant. Well, yeah, it means I worked hard. It's satisfying. Emma wiped her face with a towel. Plus, working out is just fun, you know. It feels good to move your body, to challenge yourself, to see yourself getting stronger over time. The observation deck was completely silent. Did she just say, Zara whispered, that she does this for fun? Not just for survival, Liana added, equally quietly. Not for combat preparation or emergency response, for recreational enjoyment. Emma noticed their stunned expressions through the window and laughed. I mean, yeah, humans exercise for fun all the time. Sports, fitness classes, hiking, swimming. We've got entire industries built around physical activity. It's entertainment. Azila looked at her fellow researchers, then back at the human who just casually demonstrated that she could sustain what should be lethal metabolic stress for 45 minutes straight while experiencing something she called fun. I think, the lead xenobiologist said slowly, we need to completely rewrite our understanding of what biological systems are capable of. The galaxy's most respected xenobiologist, Dr. Ziliaya, who had literally written the definitive text on comparative biological systems, arrived 3 hours later and spent the first 20 minutes in complete silence, reviewing every scan, every data point, every impossible reading from Emma's workout. Finally, she looked up at the assembled researchers with her triple-set eyes, dilated to maximum aperture. In my 4 centuries of studying biological systems across 10,000 cataloged species, I have never encountered anything remotely like this. Humans aren't just unusual, they're biological impossibility engines. Everything about their physiology contradicts established limitations. Thank you, Azila's bioluminescence flashed with vindication. I've been saying, I'm not finished. Dr. Zilia pulled up a holographic skeleton of Emma's body structure. Human Emma, would you mind demonstrating your range of motion? Specifically, your spinal flexibility? Sure, Emma, who'd been cooling down with some light stretching, stood up. Like this? She bent forward, placing her palms flat on the ground with her legs straight, then arched backward until her hands touched the floor behind her. Every alien in the observation deck made a sound of distress. Her spine, Liorana's crystalline structure, was practically vibrating. It's articulated across multiple segments. It's not a rigid support column. It's a flexible chain of individual vertebrae. Most galactic species have fused or semi-rigid spinal structures for stability, Dr. Xylia explained, her scientific composure cracking. Humans have 33 individual vertebrae with flexible intervertebral discs, allowing for extreme range of motion in multiple planes. This is typically only seen in species that require unusual mobility for survival, arboreal climbers, burrowing species, not in a primary sapient species. Emma twisted her torso, demonstrating rotation that made several researchers look away. Humans actually have a whole practice dedicated to flexibility and body control. It's called yoga. Been around for thousands of years. Some people can do splits, back bends, crazy contortions. There are professional contortionists who can fold themselves into boxes. They deliberately train to increase their already excessive flexibility, Zara said weakly. Of course they do. Human Emma, Dr. Xylia continued, her scientific curiosity overriding her shock. You mentioned earlier that you're training for what you called a half marathon. Could you explain what human athletic achievements look like at elite levels? Oh, sure. Emma pulled up her personal data pad, happy to discuss her favorite topic. So a half marathon is 21.1 kilometers. Elite runners can do that in under an hour, like sub 60 minutes. Full marathons, 42.2 kilometers. The world record is just over 2 hours. And then you've got ultra marathons, 100 miles, 24-hour races, multi-day events. Some people run across entire continents. Liorana was frantically calculating. Those speeds, maintaining that pace for those distances, the energy expenditure alone should be impossible. The cardiovascular demand. And that's just running, Emma continued enthusiastically. Weightlifting records are insane, too. There are humans who can deadlift over 500 kilograms. That's more than 5 times their body weight. Swimmers can maintain high-intensity output for hours. Gymnasts have this thing called the Iron Cross, where they hold their entire body weight suspended on rings with just their arms. Please stop providing examples, Dr. Xylia interrupted gently. Each one requires us to recalculate what we thought were universal biological constraints. Sorry, Emma said sheepishly. I get excited about fitness stuff. Occupational hazard of being a gym teacher. Zara had pulled up a new data stream and was reading with increasing disbelief. Dr. Xylia, I'm finding information about human environmental adaptation training. They deliberately expose themselves to hostile conditions to improve performance. Heat training, altitude training, cold water immersion. Oh yeah, environmental conditioning is huge for serious athletes, Emma confirmed. Training at high altitude increases your red blood cell count. Heat training improves your cardiovascular efficiency. Cold adaptation can boost your metabolism. Some military units do Arctic training, desert training, jungle training, basically preparing the body to operate in any environment. Any environment, Azila repeated, pulling up comparative data. Most species are specialized for their native environment, thermal regulation within a narrow range, atmospheric pressure requirements, specific gravity needs. But humans, she stared at the data, humans have almost no environmental specialization. You're generalists to an extreme degree. Humans currently live in every climate zone on Earth, Dr. Xylia read from the cultural database. From Arctic regions to equatorial deserts, from sea level to high-altitude mountain settlements, they've adapted to extreme heat, extreme cold, high humidity, arid conditions. She looked up. This is the biological profile of a species designed to survive anywhere. Well, we did spread across our entire planet pretty efficiently, Emma said. Humans are really good at adapting. Give us a few generations in a new environment, and we'll figure out how to thrive there. Lirana was cross-referencing evolutionary data. Lead researcher, I think I understand now. Look at human evolutionary history. They're persistence hunters. They didn't evolve to be the fastest or strongest predators. They evolved to simply outlast everything else. Pursuit predation, Zara breathed, reading the same data. Humans would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They didn't need to be faster. They just needed to never stop. Emma nodded, impressed. Yeah, that's the persistence hunting theory. Humans can regulate body temperature through sweating, maintain steady cardiovascular output for hours, and our bipedal gait is incredibly energy efficient for long distances. We're basically built to jog forever. That's why everything about your physiology seems designed for sustained crisis response, Azila said, the pieces finally clicking into place. You're not in crisis. You're operating exactly as your evolution designed you. Your normal state would be an emergency for most species because you evolved to maintain what we consider emergency response levels indefinitely. Dr. Xylie was nodding slowly, her scientific mind reconstructing the entire framework. Cardiovascular system designed for sustained elevated output, thermoregulation through active water loss, metabolic efficiency allowing for extended exertion, skeletal structure built for impact loading, muscular systems that strengthen through controlled damage, neurological reward mechanisms that encourage continued physical stress. She looked at Emma with something like awe. You're not just adapted for endurance, you're optimized for it at every biological level. And you've weaponized this capability, Zara added, pulling up information about human military training. Your soldiers train to operate in hostile environments, carry heavy loads across long distances, sustain combat effectiveness for extended periods. This says human special forces can operate for days without sleep, march 50 kilometers with 40-kilogram packs, swim for hours in cold water. Oh yeah, military training is intense, Emma agreed. Special forces especially. And astronaut training is wild too. They prepare humans to function in zero gravity, extreme G-forces, radiation exposure, isolation. We're pretty good at pushing human limits when we need to. You're good at pushing limits because you don't really have limits in the traditional sense, Dr. Xylie said quietly. You have thresholds that can be trained, adapted, overcome. Where other species hit biological walls, humans hit training opportunities. Azila looked at Emma, this cheerful gym teacher who'd accidentally revolutionized their understanding of biology, and then at the assembled xenobiologists who were all having the same realization. We've been studying galactic biology through the lens of species that evolved for efficiency and specialization, the lead researcher said slowly. Humans evolved for the opposite, adaptability and endurance. They're not better than other species, they're just optimized for completely different survival strategies that happen to look impossible from our perspective. So I'm not actually breaking any rules? Emma asked hopefully. Because you guys really had me worried for a bit there. Dr. Zelia's laugh was exhausted but genuine. Human Emma, you're not breaking rules. You're demonstrating that the rules we thought were universal were actually just species-specific limitations. You've single-handedly proven that our fundamental understanding of biological constraints was incomplete. Emma grinned. Cool. So does this mean I can finish my workout? I still need to do my cool-down stretches and I like to do some foam rolling after leg day. The xenobiologists looked at each other. Foam rolling, Lirana asked weakly. Oh, it's great for muscle recovery. You basically massage your muscles with this dense foam cylinder. Really helps with soreness and flexibility. Emma pulled out her phone. I can show you some videos if you want. I think, Dr. Zelia said gently, we've documented enough human impossibilities for one day. The Galactic Medical Database update went live 3 days later, with a notification that appeared on every xenobiologist terminal across known space. New classification created, extreme endurance physiology, human baseline parameters. Emma found herself appointed as the official human biology consultant for xenomedicine, a position that apparently came with a significant pay raise and the responsibility of teaching alien medical professionals that everything they thought they knew about biological limitations was wrong. We're completely restructuring our approach to comparative physiology, Azila explained during their first official consultation meeting. Every assumption we've made about metabolic ceilings, cardiovascular thresholds, thermoregulation limits, all of it needs to be reconsidered through the lens that humans exist and function perfectly well. I still can't believe I broke your entire field of science by going for a jog, Emma said, amused. You didn't break it, you expanded it exponentially. Lirana had a gleam in her crystalline eyes that Emma was learning meant scientific enthusiasm. Speaking of which, you mentioned something called the Olympics? Could you explain that? Oh, the Olympics are amazing. Emma pulled up videos on the holographic display. It's this massive international sporting competition we have every 4 years. Athletes from all over Earth competing in hundreds of different events. Track and field, swimming, gymnastics, weightlifting, team sports, basically every athletic discipline you can imagine. The assembled researchers watched footage of human Olympic athletes in stunned silence. Sprinters moving at speeds that looked impossible. Gymnasts defying gravity. Weightlifters hoisting masses that should have crushed them. Swimmers cutting through water with inhuman efficiency. This is your species' entertainment, Zara said faintly. You watch other humans perform feats that would kill most galactic species, and you consider it recreation. Well, yeah, sports are huge on Earth. We've got professional leagues, amateur competitions, school athletics. Billions of people play sports or work out just for fun and health. Emma scrolled through more videos. Fitness is kind of a lifestyle thing for a lot of humans. It's not about survival. It's about feeling good, staying healthy, challenging yourself. Challenging yourself, Dr. Zylika repeated, taking notes. Humans deliberately seek out physical challenges as a form of recreation and self-improvement. Definitely. That's why I'm training for a half marathon. I want to see if I can beat my personal best time. It's a goal, you know, something to work toward. Emma paused. Though I should mention, I'm like moderately fit by human standards. I'm not an athlete or anything, just a regular person who likes to stay active. The silence that followed was profound. Moderately fit, Azila said very carefully. Human Emma, you're telling us that the capabilities you've demonstrated, which we've classified as extreme endurance physiology, represent average human fitness. Maybe slightly above average. I do work out pretty consistently, Emma shrugged. But yeah, there are way fitter humans than me. Elite athletes are on a completely different level. Marathon runners who can maintain sub-3-minute kilometers for 42 kilometers straight. Gymnasts who can hold impossible strength positions. Swimmers with cardiovascular systems like you wouldn't believe. Lirana was already compiling a request list. We need to study these elite athletes, with your permission, of course. Marathon runners, gymnasts, swimmers, anyone willing to participate in our research. Oh, I bet you could get tons of volunteers. Athletes love data on their performance. Emma scrolled through more videos. You should also look into extreme sports, rock climbing, parkour, triathlons, CrossFit, ultra running. There's this thing called an Ironman triathlon where you swim 3.8 kilometers, bike 180 kilometers, then run a full marathon. People do that for fun. For fun, Zara repeated numbly. They combine 3 endurance events that would each individually require emergency medical intervention for most species, and they do it for recreational enjoyment. The human capacity for voluntary physical challenge appears to be unlimited, Dr. Zylea observed, furiously updating her notes. They've created entire cultures around pushing their biological capabilities to theoretical maximums, and they do it not for survival, but for personal satisfaction and entertainment. It's how we're wired, I guess, Emma said. Humans like challenges. We like pushing ourselves, seeing what we're capable of. It's satisfying to set a goal and achieve it, whether that's running faster, lifting heavier, or just being able to do more push-ups than last month. Azila was drafting an official document on her console. We're implementing new galactic safety protocols. Any facility hosting humans must be informed that what humans consider light exercise represents extreme physiological stress that could be lethal to other species. Human workout areas must be clearly marked as hazardous zones. That seems a bit much, Emma protested. Human Emma, your warm-up jog registered as a medical emergency on our systems, Lirana pointed out. These protocols are necessary. Emma checked her fitness watch and stood up, stretching. Speaking of workouts, I should head out for my evening run. Want to get in 10K before dinner? I'm trying to build my base mileage for the half marathon. You're going to run 10 kilometers, Zara said slowly. Right now, after this meeting, for training, for a race you're doing for fun. Yep, it's gorgeous outside. Perfect running weather. Emma grabbed her water bottle and headphones. Should take me about an hour. You guys need anything else, or can we pick this up tomorrow? The xenobiologists looked at each other, then at Emma, who was cheerfully preparing to go perform what their equipment classified as a sustained biological crisis event. We're good, Azila said weakly. Enjoy your run. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Emma headed for the door, already queuing up her running playlist. Through the facility's windows, the researchers watched her start her evening run. Steady, efficient, sustainable pace that would have hospitalized any of them within minutes. She looked happy, relaxed, completely in her element as she settled into a rhythm that would carry her 10 kilometers without breaking stride. She's going to run for an hour, Lirana said quietly. Sustaining cardiovascular stress, elevated core temperature, continuous muscle engagement, and active thermoregulation through fluid loss. And she considers this a normal part of her day. Because for humans, it is normal, Dr. Zelia said, watching Emma disappear around a corner of the track. We've spent millennia studying biology through the lens of efficiency and conservation. Humans are optimized for the opposite, expenditure and endurance. They're not better or worse than other species. They're just fundamentally different in ways we never imagined possible. Zara pulled up the updated galactic medical database entry on humans. The new classification read, Extreme Endurance Physiology, capable of sustained exertion at levels considered catastrophic for other species. Baseline human fitness represents performance peaks for most galactic biology. Elite human athletes operate beyond currently understood biological constraints. I've been studying xenobiology for 60 years, Azila said softly, still watching the track where Emma had vanished. I thought I understood the range of biological possibility. Then a gym teacher shows up and casually demonstrates that an entire category of physiology existed that we never even theorized about. At least we know now, Lirana offered. Do we, though? Zara pulled up Emma's training schedule for the next month, because according to this, she's planning to increase her running distance, add more strength training, and start practicing something called hill sprints, each of which sounds more impossible than the last. Dr. Xylia closed her notes and stood, her triple-set eyes focused on the track outside. Humans are going to keep surprising us. That's their nature. They push boundaries, seek challenges, and redefine what's possible. We'll just have to get used to being perpetually amazed. Through the window, they could see Emma completing her first kilometer, her pace steady and strong, her form efficient, her body doing what millions of years of evolution had designed it to do. Keep going, no matter what, for as long as necessary. For humans, endurance wasn't a special ability. It was just Tuesday. And somewhere in the galactic medical database, automated alerts were already being drafted for when Emma inevitably decided to try something even more impossible, like that triathlon she'd mentioned wanting to do next year. The xenobiologists made a note to upgrade their scanners. They had a feeling they were going to need them,